today I'm joined by Tricia. Tricia, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm the founder of Suntegrity Skincare. We're a mineral-based sun care line, and I started the company in honor of my mom, who passed away from melanoma skin cancer. And I'm really passionate about sunscreen. I think it's a topic that everybody needs to really know about and be educated about. And I want to help people know what to look for in a sunscreen, what to avoid in a sunscreen, and how we can make really healthy choices for ourselves and the environment.
And a little bit about my background is that I'm a product developer for Biossance. I've worked on sunscreens for years as a formulation chemist, so it's one of my favorite topics.
I love it.
Lots to chat about. We're going to learn about what is SPF, how they work, why you need them, and what kind of ingredients go in SPF. So, shall we get started?
Sure.
Can you tell us about what is SPF?
So SPF stands for sun protection factor, and it's the amount you're being protected from the damaging sun rays. Another term you're going to come across often in sunscreen is broad spectrum, and that refers to the amount of protection you're getting from the UVA rays combined with the UVB rays.
So absorption versus reflection, what's the difference and why do you prefer one over the other?
Okay, so with a chemical sunscreen, it's absorbing the heat from the sun rays and then it's dispersing it. And with the mineral sunscreens, it's sitting on the surface and reflecting. So I prefer the reflecting option, mostly because it's not photosensitizing to your skin, meaning it's not going to make your skin more sensitive. Because a lot of us already have pretty sensitive skin with the different scrubs and things that we're using on our face. So I like ingredients that are really calming to the skin, which zinc oxide is one of the most calming ingredients out there. And it's also a sunscreen that's UVA and UVB protectant.
So you're getting the best of both worlds.
Exactly.
Amazing. So something I've noticed, and you probably have noticed too, Tricia, is that a lot of people don't wear sunscreen because they don't understand how it works or they don't see the impact. So we're gonna look at a couple of pictures. Can you talk to us about what we have right here?
So this is what you think your skin looks like. You know, everybody's like, oh yeah, I look really good. I don't see any damage. And then lo and behold, if we put you under a UV lamp, this is what your skin really looks like. So this is showing the damage from the sun over the years and what's coming in the next 10 years. So if this doesn't make you want to wear sunscreen, I don't know what does. Most people think that you're getting the damage just when you're outside,
right?
But that's not really the case. You get damage from the lights in your office, you get damage when you're driving your car through your window. I mean, it's coming at you from everywhere. So you should be wearing sunscreen every morning. It should be part of your routine. And there's often a lot of places that are overlooked too, like for instance, your hands. I think the top of your hands is where a lot of the damage happens. And don't forget about your lips. Here's an image showing you what you think your lips look like versus what they look like with the sun damage. So it's really important to wear any kind of lipstick or lip gloss or lip balm that has SPF protection.
So now that we've seen sunscreens in action, let's talk about some of the myths and common misconceptions that come with sunscreens.
I think one of the biggest things is around the SPF number. You know, I think people think that the higher the number, the more they're protected. But the reality is, once you get past a certain number, there's really incremental difference. And what I'm afraid of is if people get a high number, then they don't reapply and they think they're good all day and they're out on the beach, you know, out of the beach 8 hours, don't reapply because, oh, it's 100. And in essence, they're not protected after usually a couple hours.
And I've heard so many times of a little bit goes a long way, but you actually need something like a couple of tablespoons to cover your face.
Yeah, they say a whole shot glass for your entire body. So, man, that's kind of a lot.
Let's talk about some of the misconceptions in SPF numbers and ratings because I know there's a lot around these.
So the difference between a 30 and a 50 is that a 30 protects you from 97% of the sun damaging rays and an SPF 50 protects you against 98% of the damaging rays. So there's a 1% difference there. And then if you go above a 50 to 100, it's really, really minimal. So that's part of the reason that the FDA is trying to pass new regulation to prevent these really high sunscreen numbers that are really just more of a marketing gimmick for sunscreen companies.
What do you think is a minimum number everyone should be wearing?
Me personally, I choose a 30. I think that's the minimum number you should go for.
Great.
I think the people who are choosing less than that, it's because they're trying to get tan, but no tan is a safe tan. I guess there's one safe tan, a self-tanner. So I would go with that.
Another word we're hearing a lot is heat stress.
So with the chemical sunscreen, when it's applied to your skin and it's absorbing the sun's heat rays, those heat rays have to go somewhere. So it gets dissipated on your skin, which is irritating. I mean, kind of think of you're getting close to your oven and it's like, this is hot, and your skin starts to get red. It's kind of the same concept.
Which is still pretty damaging as well.
Yes.
In the United States, our sunscreens need to be labeled as broad spectrum, and that's something that measures the UVA component as well as your UVB. And that actually, when we talk about UVA versus UVB, a good way to remember it is if you think about UVB, you think about burning. When you think about UVA, you think about aging. PA number is not something that's done as a test in the United States. It refers to something called persistent pigment darkening, and that's another measure of UVA. The number is calculated based on the amount of tanning that's produced as opposed to the SPF number that measures redness. Here's another one, nano versus non-nano. Nanoparticles refer to, you typically refer to your mineral sunscreens that are of a particle size of 100 nanometers or less. You need to be above 100 to be non-nano.
Consider non-nano.
Does size matter? Talk to us about that.
I think it does. In my personal opinion, I choose non-nano zinc oxide because it's big enough that it's not gonna penetrate your bloodstream, but it's small enough that it rubs in and doesn't leave that super opaque, look.
There's a reason nano sunscreens are quite popular because they're so little that they disappear in skin. There was a problem with zinc oxide or titanium dioxide mineral sunscreens of leaving that kind of
white cast,
ashy cast. And from a sensory benefit, I think the nano sunscreens became pretty popular, but then they're a little bit controversial. But I think one of the things that's really nice these days is that we have better technology that makes non-nano sunscreens more spreadable depending on the emollients you're using. Another big one that we're hearing a lot these days is reef safe. Can you talk to us about that a little bit?
So the issue is that most chemical sunscreens, they're bleaching the coral reefs. And if a coral reef is bleached, it basically dies. So recently, in the last several years, about 1/5 of the coral reefs have died, and it's because of the amount of sunscreen that's coming off of swimmers and into the ocean. I mean, we're talking like 6 to 15 tons of sunscreen. So reef friendly and reef safe, they basically mean that they don't contain the chemical ingredients like octinoxate, oxybenzone, some of the preservatives that are known for damaging the coral reefs like the parabens.
And that's really interesting because reef safe, it's not something that's totally regulated and there's not a test or a restriction.
It's not really much at
but
all.
It usually just refers to octinoxate and oxybenzone.
Hawaii is the biggest. They just banned octinoxate.
Right, and the last time I went, I saw the signs right by the beach where they're strongly recommending not to use products with those ingredients, so that's a really interesting one.
Your best bet really is non-nano zinc oxide, in my opinion. Spray's not your best option, although I know it is most people's favorite option. But if you're gonna do a spray, get a spray that's a mineral spray so that when you spray it, it's almost like spraying a lotion versus spraying a mist. Because if you're spraying a mist, you are gonna be inhaling those particles and it's not good for your lungs.
And I think the best thing you can do is find a sunscreen that you enjoy wearing.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. For sure. So another thing is the numbers. I mean, you go out there and you're like shopping the aisles of sunscreens. It's like shopping for cereal. There's gazillions. What do I choose? So look at the numbers. Stick with 30 to 50, turn the bottle around, just look at the actives, look for zinc oxide. It's easy as that.
But wait, everyone's got different types of skin. So how does somebody choose based on their skin type?
Just look at the inactives and be careful, like I said, to avoid any kind of synthetic fragrance. For basically all skin types, I'm still gonna say mineral sunscreen is your best bet because it's less sensitizing. So people with dry skin, they're gonna want to buy sunscreens that have more emollients and more butters and oils. The skin, when you're out in the sun, you're getting dehydrated. So you wanna pick sunscreens with ingredients like hyaluronic acid that help to hydrate the skin.
And it's really interesting because I think a lot of oily skin people tend to steer clear from sunscreens because they think it's gonna make their skin worse. But it's not so much the actives, and I think you touched on that. And one of the things I found, it's not so much the ingredients, but a lot of times it can be things like film formers, and it's not so much that they're in there, but it's the fact that they're made to help them stick on your skin so that it doesn't wash off in the water. So one of the things we used to do, or I still do this anytime I'm making a sunscreen in the lab, is that you have to cleanse with an oil first to thoroughly remove it before you wash it off.
Absolutely, that's one of the biggest things I tell people is because most people, they're breaking out because they put the sunscreen on, then if they have sensitive skin, they use a creamy cleanser and it's not taking it off. So every night they're going to bed with sunscreen, pollutants from the day, more sunscreen, well, of course you're gonna break out. So absolutely, I always recommend people oil cleanse.
We've got some sunscreens over here, so let's talk about how to apply them.
So when it comes to a non-nano zinc oxide based sunscreen, they do tend to start out a little white. So what you can do to help avoid that is put some in your hand, just dot it so that you're not getting one big clump in an area. Then rub it. So then it goes in a little easier. You're still gonna see a little bit of a white cast. You know, don't be afraid to put a little muscle in there. Some people I see put it on, they're like this. I'm like, well, you're not gonna rub it in very well that way.
So we've got another one from our line, and one of the things we worked on, we wanted to really emphasize is that you could still have a clean zinc oxide-based sunscreen that really blends and still moisturizing. It's enjoyable to use. But look at that.
All you need is a tiny bit of patience to rub it in. Perfect.
Oh, we learned about ingredients, how to pick what's right for you and for your skin type. Thank you so much, Tricia, for joining us.
Thank you. It's been really fun. I had a good time, and I hope the audience really learned a lot about sunscreen and wears them every day from here on out.
Check out the rest of our videos on Biossance's YouTube channel. For more resources like this one, be sure to check out cleanacademy.com. Thank you so much for watching.